and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. You see the title of the video, right? I just wanted to get some final thoughts before training camp starts, man. A quick, I won't even call it a preview. I think I should start the podcast back up. It's been over probably 2 years since I did the actual podcast, but this is one of those topics that probably would have been better for a podcast. But again, just want to get out this information. Just want to share my thoughts before training camp starts. So first off, I just want to talk about my outlook for the 2025 season. And the first thing people can say is, will the Giants be contenders? How many wins are the Giants going to have? What happens with Brian Daboll? Is he on the hot seat? A lot of the things that I talk about, but I just want to go with what matters the most as far as like this foundation for the 2025 season. And the number one objective for me, for the New York Giants in 2025, is getting the respect back. Demanding the respect back and playing to the point where you get your respect back across the league. That is the number one objective, in my opinion, that the New York Giants should have. Now, obviously, winning games, going to the playoffs, winning Super Bowls, those are the goals, for any team and every team. But just talking about where the Giants are coming from, what we've been putting out on the field the last few seasons, we need to absolutely get our respect back. And some people say, what are you talking about? You guys know, you guys understand what I'm talking about when I say the Giants got to get their respect back. As a Giants fan, right, when you're in conversations, whether it's at work, whether it's at the barbershop, whether it's at a cookout, whether it's at any kind of gathering, social gathering, when people start talking about their teams, their respective teams, and they ask you, who's your team? And you feel a certain way before you say it, or if teams or people are talking about, their expectations for the season, talking about football in general, and they ask you, okay, who's your team? And you say the New York Giants, and then they make a face like they understand the pain or something like that. That's what I'm talking about when I say that the New York Giants need to get their respect back. People don't, I'm sick and tired of people making faces and making comments and making jokes. When you're like, yeah, I'm a Giants fan. I wear my Giants stuff wherever I go. This New York Giant, I ran some errands today, earlier this morning. And I keep my Giants stuff on. This is actually what I wore out today. And every now and again, I run into other football fans. Some rivals, some not. Rarely I run into some Giants fans out here. But there are some out here in Arizona. But I'm just like, every time almost, it's always a comment. And I don't think that they're trying to be disrespectful when they say it, but it's always like eyebrows get raised, surprised on their face. How's it going? What you think you guys are going to do this season? Oh man, how about that, Daniel? It's always a comment that just goes back to how bad the New York Giants have been, the past couple of years. Not even a couple of years, so over a decade how bad we've been, right? And we've been the butt of a lot of jokes when it comes to the NFL. And I think that's the main objective for 2025 is getting the respect back. And the best way that you can do that is the best way that the New York Giants have done it in the past, and that's through mean, destructive, and disruptive, punishing defense at the end of the day. Waves and waves of pass rushers, beating up other teams' quarterbacks, beating up other teams' offensive lines. Physicality. New York at its finest. Physical defense. That's one way that the New York Giants can start to get this respect back. And when you look at this roster, especially on defense, there's no reason why these guys shouldn't start to get that ship turned around and start to gain the respect that, we deserve as one of the storied franchises in the NFL. I'm going to say it. And I think the mindset for a lot of these guys, I saw it in the interviews that John Schmoke had with the different position groups. A lot of these guys keep saying the same thing. They want to win. They want to win. They're putting in the work. They want to win. They know what it takes. They know what they need to do in order to get better. They know how to improve on some of the, not necessarily the weaknesses, but some places where they need to improve at. You see everybody saying the right thing at the right time in these interviews, and everywhere they go, you're hearing the right talk. And in order for a team to shift, in order for a team to make that shift, they have to make that shift mentally first. And right now, I think that's what needs to happen. It seems like the players have it. Obviously, we haven't had too many interviews when it comes to the coaches, especially Brian Daboll. Nobody has sat down with Brian Daboll to see what his mindset is. We see the little short previews that he has before the practices, or the pressers before the practices and stuff like that. But I don't think anybody outside of like the franchise has really, got a chance to get a hold of Brian Daboll and ask him, hey, let's keep it real. What do the Giants need to do? And most likely won't see that happen before the season starts anyway. But I'm just curious to know where Brian Daboll is at mentally. Now, he'll give you a lot of those answers that seem to be, scripted and stuff like that, where, we got to improve. We got to win games. Offense got to be able to push the ball downfield. We got to play better. He'll give you all that stuff, but I just need one of those candid conversations. Probably not going to happen, and probably won't come from anybody that gets their paycheck signed by the New York Giants. But I think that the mental shift, especially for the players, is there. You got guys that are competitive in the room. You got guys that don't like to lose in the room. You got guys that are new, bringing a different type of energy into the room, into the building. And I think that's just a fantastic way to start the 2025 season. Let's make the mental shift first before, we get down on the field and be able to prove it. Now, let's talk about some of these rookies, right? Some of these rookies that we picked up this year. Obviously, you want to talk about Abdul Carter. I think what's understood doesn't have to be said when it comes to Abdul Carter. We already know we got arguably the best player in the draft in Abdul Carter. Can he live up to that hype? And that's it when it comes to Abdul Carter. We've seen the clips, we've seen the plays, we've seen him practicing, we've seen his get off, we've seen the speed, we've seen what he can do. He's disruptive and destructive. A perfect fit for what the New York Giants want to do moving forward. I believe that. Now, was he an extra outside linebacker given our situation with Tibbs and Brian Burns? Yes, but again, we have a defensive weapon and a defensive playmaker that we absolutely need. Jackson Dart. The biggest argument, debate, when it comes to this draft class is going to be Jackson Dart. We see it all over the place. When is Jackson Dart going to start? When is Jackson Dart going to start? I've shared my opinion on that. You guys know my opinion on that. If you don't know, go back and watch some of the videos. You know what? I'll share a little brief just recap of how I feel about Jackson Dart. I don't believe that Jackson Dart is ready to go right now. I do think he has a lot of developing to do. We do see some bright spots. He does have an arm. He does have that competitive nature in him. He has some toughness as well. He is a leader. We heard that all from from Ole Miss, the coach from Ole Miss and other players. He has all of those intangibles, but does he have the basics down? So you have a guy with all the intangibles, but what about the quarterback play? That's something that he needs to improve going through his progressions, NFL reads and stuff like that. And that's why I believe he needs time. I absolutely believe he needs some time. We do have a guy like Russell Wilson in here. We do have somebody backing up Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston that can get the job done while we're waiting for Jackson Dart. This season shouldn't be about, let's see how fast we can get Jackson Dart on the field. This season should be about, let's make the New York Giants respectable again. And guess what? We also have a quarterback waiting in the wing to come out. I think that's what it needs to be when it comes to when it comes to Jackson Dart. So the next guy I want to talk about is Darius Alexander. And I think of all of our draft picks, and again, Abdul Carter is going to be a defensive weapon, but out of all of our draft picks, Darius Alexander is something that this team absolutely needed. Dexter Lawrence needed a partner. We needed a tough defensive presence on this defensive line outside of Dexter Lawrence. And that's no disrespect to any other guys that are on the roster or any other guys that we picked up in free agency, but just talking about Darius Alexander, we have a guy that came from Toledo, dealt with a lot of double teams, and probably for the first time in a long time won't be getting double teamed at all. And by any means, I think a lot of people have some faith in what Darius Alexander can do. I absolutely do as well. But I cannot wait to see him on the field next to Dexter Lawrence. I can't wait for these guys to get into the pads. Who knows when the first day of pads is going to be? But I need to see these guys be disruptive in practice, in training camp early. Okay, so next, Mr. Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo, again, what's understood does not have to be said. He just needs to be Cam Skattebo, the same Cam Skattebo he was at ASU. That's what we need to see as Giants fans. I'm not trying to put the weight of the world or the weight of the running game on his shoulders, because we do have Tyrone Tracy. I think it's going to be a fantastic 1-2 punch. I think those two gel well together as far as what we need. You have a dynamic play-making, play-breaking back in Tyrone Tracy, and then you have that thumper, energy giver when it comes to Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo is probably going to be one of the most exciting running backs to run for a 10-yard gain, because he just has that type of physicality where a 10-yard gain looks like something spectacular. So I'll keep it brief with him. He just has to be who he is, or be who he has been, in college, in the NFL, and hopefully it translates to that. Next is Marcus Bowe, and Marcus Bowe is a different kind of situation where you have a kid that, if you did throw him to the Wolves, could he have survived on the offensive line as a starter this year? Well, we don't need to worry about that, because he will not be a starter this year, at least in my opinion, or at least at the position that we drafted him at. He was a right tackle. Are we going to play him at right tackle? Most likely not. That's going to be Jermaine Illuminor. Depending on what happens with Andrew Thomas, we should not see Marcus Bowe unless he, somehow gets into the guard competition and wins a guard spot from, one of the guys that are currently there, which I don't think that happens. But also, let the kid develop. We've been messing up a lot of these linemen. Some things are the fault of the linemen themselves, the player themselves. Some of it has to do with the coaching and development of some of these offensive linemen. But at the end of the day, a lot of that weight holds on to the players, or is on the players. And for me, Marcus Bowe, let him get a chance to, get acclimated to the NFL game. Let him continue to get stronger. Love his attitude. Love his nastiness as an offensive lineman. That's something that we pretty much don't have right now. Just that, wanting to punish and wanting to finish, defensive lineman. That's something that that Marcus Bowe can do or has done at the college level. Let him relax. Let him do his thing, And then the last two guys, Corey Black and then Thomas Fidone, just take advantage of the opportunities that are going to be provided. The tight end room could be wide open for Thomas Fidone behind Theo Johnson. Obviously, I'm a big Daniel Bellinger fan. For some reason, Daniel Bellinger has been in a doghouse, and it's not because of his play. You can't tell me it's because of his play, because all he does is produce when you throw him the ball. But Thomas Fidone definitely has a chance to make this team. He's a draft pick, so he most likely makes the team. But it all depends on if we keep 4 tight ends or not. Or he could be in a battle with Chris Manhertz. We'll see what happens. Or he can be in a battle with Daniel Bellinger, which, again, I wouldn't understand that. But it is what it is. And then Corey Black, when you look at the cornerbacks, and yes, we picked up Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo, to me, if he can get back to where he was before the injury, before the fractured leg, then we have a steal there. When you look at Tay Banks, can he turn into the guy that we thought we had when we drafted him? That's a big question. Cordell Flott is pushing Tay Banks for that CB2 spot. And then when you look after those guys, it's question marks, right? There's a lot of you got Trey Hawkins, and now you add Corey Black. You can also add a Donald Fortune, is a UDFA cornerback that we picked up from South Carolina. But Corey Black, you have a chance to take, to get a roster spot. Good at special teams. That's what you're known for too. And you can never have enough good special teams players. But Corey Black, get in where you fit in. Take advantage of every opportunity and every rep that you get, and hopefully we see you on the other side in August or when September starts on the 53. Now, outside of that, man, just I'm getting out of the way. This video is already longer than what I wanted it to be. When it comes to this offense, when it comes to Russell Wilson and Malik Nabers and these guys, right? In the wide receiver room and the offensive line, again, there's already high expectations for this defense. We look at the roster, we look at the name on the rosters, and there's high expectations for this defense. When you turn around and you look at this offense, there's a lot of question marks, right? Is Russell Wilson who we think he is or think he could be? We already know he's not going to be the Russell Wilson of old, but do we absolutely need that Russell Wilson from 2020, or do we just need solid, consistent quarterback play? Now, I would love that 2020 Russell Wilson. I would love the 2015 Russell Wilson. If he can, turn back the hands of time and do something like that, then fantastic. But it's not a guarantee that it happens. I'm hoping that happens, but it's not a guarantee. But you can already see the difference in leadership, having a true leader at the quarterback position. And this is before we actually play games. Russell Wilson has come in and from day one has shown what a leader can be for this team. On the field, off the field, outings, bowling nights, taking the team out to dinner, all this stuff. We have a true leader when it comes to Russell Wilson. We also have a vocal leader when it comes to Jameis Winston. And I think that's something that we have not had out of the quarterback position since Eli Manning was here. Like seriously, since Eli Manning was here. And I think about how the wide receivers talked about Russell Wilson when he got there. Talked about, he has the most catchable, passes, this, that, and the third. But just the leadership and knowing that you got somebody at the quarterback position that is willing to make the play, willing to pull the trigger, willing to take the shots, is big for the mental of the wide receiver room. And you got a kid like Malik Nabers in his second year, still got a lot to prove, still has a chip on his shoulder, still wants to be the best. I think Russell Wilson will let you know exactly what we have. When I think about Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyde, you have a quarterback that's going to take the shots, and we will absolutely find out for sure what these guys are, what this wide receiver room can be with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and also Jameis Winston. And then eventually, once Jackson Dart gets on the field, you'll see it with him as well. And that goes for the tight end room. That goes for the running backs. You're going to see, in my opinion, just a more explosive and efficient offense. But again, this is just me thinking and speculating. I need to see it on the field. A lot of people will stop you short. A lot of Giants fans will stop you short. Like, hey, don't get too excited. We got to see the stuff on the field. And they're absolutely right. But that's not going to shake my optimism at all. And then the offensive line, man, question mark after question mark. Is Andrew Thomas going to be healthy? Is John Michael Schmitz is the light bulb going to come on for John Michael Schmitz? Or is he going to prove that the New York Giants just cannot pick good offensive linemen? The question mark with Evan Neal, how's he going to look at guard? That's where the most question marks come from, is on this offensive line. But if we can get that together, we can get solid play from this offensive line, then I think we can roll, and I think we can be successful. I do think that this is, as a whole, this is a more talented team than what we had in 2022. I know that's saying a lot, especially when you think about the defense, but when it comes to the secondary, the middle linebackers, and the defensive line, and then what the edge room looks like now with Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Tibbs instead of Tibbs and Azeez Ojulari. You know what I mean? Is this team has a chance to, again, first of all, going back to what I said in the beginning of the video, gaining our respect back, but on top of that, actually making an impact, actually winning games, and actually being, competitive in the division. But that's going to be my video. Already went too long. I thought I was going to be like 10 minutes or so, but once I start talking to New York Giants, I can talk forever, and I'm actually cutting myself short right now because I probably can go on for like another 20 minutes. But anyway, that's going to be my thoughts, before training camp. Probably won't do another video until the first day of training camp. Let this one sit there and marinate for a little bit, and see what some of the feedback you guys have on this video. If you have made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe this channel. The channel was growing, and it's all because of you guys, Giants Nation. Shout out to you guys for all the love and support. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.